Today we're going to talk about making box and whisker plots. Yesterday we talked about all the different parts and the vocabulary words we needed to know today, but we didn't really make anything. So today that's what we're going to focus on. Before we can start working on anything, we have to talk about our steps. And so the first couple are super simple. Actually, they're all really super simple. You're not going to have a problem with this. It's just making sure you do each thing in order. Our first step is put all of our numbers in order from least to greatest. You're used to that. You do that already. Then we have to identify our min and our max. Remember, our minimum is our smallest number and our maximum is our largest number. Then we have to find the median. And I want you to either circle it, or if there's two, you have to circle both of them and split it. So figure out what's in between those two. So then our fourth step is you're going to have to find the middle of the front half and mark that as your quartile 1 or your lower quartile. And then you do the exact same thing with the back half, and only you're going to have to mark that as quartile 3. Once you've found your min, max, median, Q1 and Q3, you're ready to draw your graph, which sounds extremely simple. It is extremely simple, but let's practice some just to make sure. Now we're going to do some practice problems, and you're going to hear me constantly referring back up to our steps that we went over at the top of this page. So if you get lost or you're confused on what step we are, then just go ahead and glance up there and it'll help you out a lot. Now, if you look up there, my first step is to put my numbers in order from least to greatest. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I go ahead and I mark them off as I go. Otherwise, I like to skip them or skip at least one of them from time to time. And so it just helps me out. Okay, so step 1 was put them in order from least to greatest. And once we have them in order from least to greatest, it makes step 2 extremely simple. We look and we identify our minimum and our maximum. Remember, minimum means smallest. So my smallest number is 11. And my maximum number is my biggest, and that is 18. Now, I have to go ahead and find my median. Now, I can't mark them off as I go just because of the fact that I'm going to have to use them when I find my lower and upper quartile. So, for me, I put like a dot or a little line above them just so I can see where I'm at to make sure I didn't skip a number. And luckily, on this one, there's only one median, so I don't have to worry about averaging them. So, I'm just going to put 14. Now, remember how we talked about this is the middle? Well, the first middle was our median, but now we have to find our lower quartile, which our lower quartile is just the median of the front half of the numbers. So I'm going to find the front half, so mark out 11, mark out 13. That leaves me with 2 12s. Well, 2 12s are pretty easy. So if you add them up and divide by 2, it's still going to equal 12. But now I have to do my upper quartile, and it's just a little bit harder. So I'm going to mark out, and I'm going to have to average those two numbers. Now I can average them, or I can simply think, what goes in between 14 and 16? And that's just 15. So that's not too bad. Now, a lot of people say, okay, I'm done at this point, but you're really not. Because remember, today we are making box and whisker plots. So you have to carry it the one step further. I know this is where we stopped yesterday, but we have to actually make them. So let's look at this. We're going to have a number line. And it needs to be at least as big as the smallest and the biggest number that you have. So it's at least as big as your min and max. I'm probably going to go 10 through 19. And 11, 12. Oh, I went a little bit further. I'm going to actually go through 20. It doesn't matter if it's any longer, as long as it's not shorter than the length from your min to your max. So, let's go ahead and graph our minimum and our maximum. So, on our minimum, we're going to put a spot for 11, so it's going to get a dot. 18 is my maximum, so it's going to get a dot as well. My median gets a line, so 14 gets a line. My lower quartile, which is 12, gets a line. And our upper quartile, which is 15, gets a line. Now, all I do is I connect my lines together. That's going to make my box. And then I have to connect my dots over to my box. And there you have your box and whisker. Okay, we're going to do one more example problem using the exact same steps as last time. So we're going to have to put them in order from least to greatest. So 2, 3, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, and 9. Now, once it's in this order, it's extremely easy to just put them our minimum and our maximum. So my smallest number is going to be 2, and my biggest number is going to be 9. Now I'm going to need to find my median, and I'm just going to mark off from each end. Remember, don't mark out the numbers just because you're going to need them in a minute. Now, we have 2. And remember on step 3, it says circle it or split it if there's 2. There's 2 of them, so we're going to have to split this. And when I split that, what is halfway in between 4 and 5? Well, that's 4.5. But the reason I split it is not just to remind me that I need to go halfway in between the 2. It's now because I didn't use that 4 or that 5. The 4 is going to come over here with the lower quartile, and the 5 is going to come over here with the upper quartile. So I still find my median for my lower quartile just like normal. I'm going to mark it out, mark it out. That leaves me with 2 in the middle. Well, 3 and 3, they match, so that means my lower quartile is just going to be 3. And do the same thing on my upper quartile. So mark out 5, mark out 9. That leaves me 6 and 8. Well, right in between 6 and 8 is 7. So that gives me my lower quartile of 3, my upper quartile of 7, and I am ready to graph. Same thing as last time. Draw your number line. It needs to be at least 2 through 9, but it can be longer, so I'm going to try and go 1 through 10. Okay. And then we are going to start graphing our box and whisker plot. Now, remember, our min and max are going to get dots, whereas our lower quartile, upper quartile, and our median are going to get lines. So I'm going to start with my dots, and that is my minimum gets a dot at 2. My maximum gets a dot at 9. My median gets a line at 4.5. My lower quartile gets a line at 3, and my upper quartile gets a line at 7. I connect my 3 lines, and then I just draw a line out to both of my dots, which makes my whiskers. Box and whisker plots are as simple as that. Just constantly think middle, middle, middle. Find the middle of the entire thing for your median. Find the middle of the front half for your lower quartile, and find the middle of the back part for your upper quartile. It's that simple.